Welcome to Caregiver Chats. I'm Dr. Lakelyn. Today I'll be talking about positive caregiving and how caregivers can use the power of positive emotions. So stay tuned and we'll get into it. Caregiver Chats is a podcast designed to help those caring for older adults find balance, support, resources, and encouragement. If you're caring for an aging family member or friend, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Dr. Lakelyn. I'm a gerontologist and caregiving advocate for Home Instead, an honor company. I know how busy caregivers are, and I'm so grateful you're taking the time to listen. I also want to hear from you. Please email me your caregiving questions, and I plan to answer them on future episodes. My email is caregiverchats@homeinsteadinc.com. Again, that's caregiverchats@homeinsteadinc.com. Last episode was a short but fun one. I shared with you my top 5 favorite podcasts from 2023. To make sure you didn't miss out on the best of the best, please go back and listen. Today's episode focuses on positive caregiving. It can be easy to get caught up in all of the challenges of caregiving and weighed down by the negativity. And when this happens, it tends to overshadow the positive emotions that are associated with caregiving. As we enter a new year, it's a great time to evaluate our caregiving mindset. We can reflect on how the emotions we're experiencing impact our day-to-day caregiving role. Perhaps you can find opportunities to embrace the positive aspects of caregiving in 2024. I'm excited to talk more about this today and to be joined by a special guest who helps caregivers reframe their caregiving experience and focus more on the positive. Joining me today is a fellow gerontologist and former classmate of mine, Dr. Teten Kanter. Sarah is on a mission to help people embrace the gift of growing older. She's also the founder and CEO of Positive Caregiving, an organization focused on making caregiving and care receiving a positive experience and an opportunity for personal growth. She holds a doctorate and master's degree in gerontology from the University of Nebraska-Omaha, my alma mater as well. And prior to pursuing her passion in gerontology, she was the chief marketing officer and chief customer officer at Connexa, which is now an IBM company. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here.
Well, and Happy New Year to you as well. I can't believe we are into 2024. It's wild.
It goes fast.
It does. Time flies. Well, to get us started today, Sarah, I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about kind of your career journey, any personal caregiving experience, just so we can get to know you a little better.
Sure. Well, I grew up here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I did my undergraduate degree in advertising. And so I consider this gerontology journey kind of my second act. When I graduated in the mid-90s with a degree, like I said, in journalism, and I had a long and really rewarding career in marketing. And then I got pregnant with my son. And, in those major life events, sometimes you have to take a step back and reassess what you're doing. And I'd always been really interested in the aging process and in older adults. And I thought, I'm going to just see if there's something else out there that would be a better fit for where I was in my life journey. And I started taking courses at the University of Nebraska-Omaha, and I got my master's degree, and then that turned into a PhD. And then I've taken all of the things that I've learned, and I'm trying to spread the message that what a gift it is to grow older and to care for one another as we age.
That's a beautiful message. I echo that message, and I just am so excited to talk to you more about how you're doing that. And one of the ways is through your book and your organization, Positive Caregiving. So why did you decide to write a book about positive caregiving? It's not something we talk about all that often.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the main things about the whole concept of positive caregiving is that it's a mindset that we can have how we approach caring for one another. It's a mission that we can have about how we want to take care of our loved ones as they age and how we want to be taken care of as well as we age. So I would love to start a movement about just changing the way we think about this. And some people can approach a caregiving experience or journey with just a natural positive mindset. And they just always seem to have it together and keep a positive attitude. But a lot of people need help. They need ideas. They need a path. And so that's really where the book comes in, is that we wanted to create something, taking things that have been around for a long time. We pulled from a lot of different disciplines and philosophies and things that we know help people when they are facing challenging times, just in general as humans. So things like positive psychology and lifestyle medicine and meditation and mindfulness, we pulled from all those different things to create a method that people can follow so that they can so that they can practice approaching the journey with a positive mindset. And then after they move through their caregiving journey, coming out on the other side with a greater personal resilience. So it was really to try to give people a path that may need a little extra help to keep a positive mindset.
That is so wonderful. I love that you give people tools, because as you said, sometimes it's hard to know where to start. And often as caregivers who kind of make it through the journey, they reflect back and they say, caregiving was one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences. And sometimes it's not until you're through it do you realize the positive impact. So if you can start from, wherever you are in your caregiving journey and start to include some positivity, some positive mindsets, that can be so helpful. And kind of goes to the notion of just reframing our caregiving experience. So why would you say it's important for caregivers to do that, to reframe it?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is that, if given a choice, I think that most people would want their care journey to be a positive experience, and that they would want to not just get through the day together with their care partner, but savor their time together. And that they would both want to, both caregiver and care receiver, I call them care partners together, but that they would both want to, even amidst these challenging times, come out on the other side growing, as individuals and in the relationship. So I think that that's because if you can approach the situation with a positive mindset, it's a great first step. And of course, when we're caring for a loved one, it's typically because they're either ill or injured or trying to adapt to challenging age-related changes. And that in of itself, in general, is scary and can be sad and stressful and frightening. And all of those emotions are very natural and normal because someone we love needs help, right? But so bringing in some of the positive mindset can help us balance those very common, very natural negative emotions and experiences that we may have as we're caring for someone we love.
That is such a good point. Those are our natural reactions to the things that are happening in our lives. And so I love the idea of balancing those with the positive. And the start of a new year, everyone's kind of thinking about, okay, how can I refresh things? Maybe a New Year's resolution, a new approach to things. So I think it's a great time to be talking about this topic, about the positive mindset. And in your book, you offer up several pillars of positive caregiving. And could you maybe just share a couple of those? I know you probably don't want to give away all your secrets, but a few would be helpful.
Yeah, so I think I know I mentioned that we pulled from a wide variety of disciplines to create this method. And then we identified 4 pillars that we could really build this entire program around. And those pillars, the first one is perspective. So how do we help people keep their caregiving journey and their life in general in perspective in the greater scheme of things. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is savoring. So how do we make sure that even amidst all of these challenges, all of the negative emotions, we can continue to savor our time together with our loved ones and savor our time in life as well. So even, again, amidst those challenging times, how do we continue to enjoy the things that bring us joy? And then the third one is reminiscence, which, as gerontologists, we know how important reminiscence is as we grow older, not only from a life review perspective, but just as putting things, our own life and our own challenges and our own wishes and goals into a cohesive story. And so reminiscence is the third pillar. And then the fourth pillar, again, is that personal growth pillar. So how do we make sure that we're using our challenging times as an opportunity to grow? And so those four pillars are the foundation of the positive caregiving method.
Each of those in and of itself is, I can see how beneficial it would be to caregiving. I really love the concept of savor. Because I think so often caregivers are thinking, okay, I just have to get through today. I just have to get through tomorrow or to next week or get my loved one to their next doctor's appointment or whatnot. We need to hit the next milestone. But there's so many beautiful moments that happen in the present, in the now. And so I love that concept of savor to help caregivers really be present and be kind of mindful. So important. Well, I know in your book you also talk a lot about the positive emotions. But before I ask you more about that, I would love to take just a quick short break to hear a word from our sponsor. This podcast is brought to you by Home Instead, an honor company. If you find yourself needing extra support as a family caregiver or time away from your caregiving responsibilities, Home Instead can help. Our home care services are delivered by compassionate care professionals and range from personal care, meal preparation, and medication management to Alzheimer's care and hospice support. Visit homeinstead.com to learn more and to find a location near you. Sarah, we were just starting to talk about kind of the positive emotions of caregiving. So, of course, positive caregiving comes naturally with positive emotions. And in your book, you dive deep into a variety of these positive emotions. And two of my favorites are gratitude and awe. But I would love for you to share more with us about these positive emotions and maybe what some of your favorites are.
Yeah, so we identified 5 positive emotions, and they are gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe. And people say, why those 5? Well, we just talked about some of those negative emotions that are very common when we are caring for people who we love that are either sick or injured or facing challenges that come with aging. Gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe can be great balances to those negative emotions. So fear, awe is a wonderful counterbalance to fear. And stress, love can be a great counterbalance to stress. And so all those things that, again, the negative emotions that are just very common in caregiving, we can balance those out with positive emotions. And then those positive emotions have also been shown to, be very beneficial for our mental and physical well-being. They can all help us reduce stress. They create meaning in our daily life. And, I also always remind people, isn't that what we would want if someone was caring for us, for our caregiver to be grounded in those emotions of gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe. So yeah, that's those are the 5, and we've built, again, around those 4 pillars and those 5 emotions. We've built out this method for people to follow.
That's fantastic. I love, again, the concept of balancing the emotions, and I know in your book you dive deeper into all of those. So towards the end, we'll tell folks where they can learn more about your book. But I know that. When we talk about, these positive emotions, for some people, they might think, oh, it sounds great, but how do I go about doing this? Are there some kind of practical, easy tips on how caregivers can apply this concept of positive caregiving, or how they can tap into the positive emotions kind of in their day-to-day care that they're providing?
Yeah, no, thanks for that question, because we talk about them as positive emotions, but they are also skills. And they're skills that we as humans can practice and strengthen. And the more we do that, the more they just become second nature to us. And so in our caregiving journeys, it's a great opportunity to practice those positive emotions as skills. And so we spend a lot of the time in the book. We also have a mobile app that's free for people that can be downloaded on the app stores, but we focus on incorporating those emotions, gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe, into everyday activities for people, things that we would do every day anyways. So when we're eating, or when we're walking, or when we're waiting, waiting for a doctor's appointment, or waiting at the store, or waiting wherever, all these things that we do on a daily basis, we use those as opportunities to share activities with our loved ones, and they're all based around gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe. So, for instance, eating. And I'll just give you an example of something that my family, that we've incorporated into my parents, my mother-in-law's lives, is we wanted to strengthen that empathy muscle, having empathy for not only each other, but for everyone around us and for humans in general. And so we have incorporated in our Sunday dinners, we pick one country. From my 12-year-old actually picks the country. And then we learn about the country we usually use YouTube and find a history video of the country. And then we cook foods from the country, and we might listen to music from the country, but we learn about the culture and about the different parts of living in that place. And it's a wonderful way for all of us to learn together and to, again, strengthen that empathy muscle as a skill, and actually just enjoy one another. So that's one example, but there's other examples too. So for instance, walking. A lot of people walk as exercise. Some people might not, maybe they might need to use an assistant tool, for instance, a walker or a wheelchair, but a lot of people have to get from point A to point B during the day. So using that walking as a practice to incorporate, for instance, gratitude. So instead of just taking a walk, taking a gratitude walk, where you're identifying 3 to 5 things that you and your care partner are both grateful for. Those are just little things that we can do to, again, practice those emotions as skills, not just feeling those emotions.
I love those tips. I have a gratitude practice each morning. I reflect on the day before, and I write down 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for from the prior day. And some days it's just, as simple as like, it was a stressful day, but I had a great cup of coffee. Or, sometimes it's not,
Right.
Grand thoughts, but it does help me have a positive mindset going into the rest of my day. And so I think that these small ways that you are suggesting to practice these positive emotions throughout the day can make such a big difference, especially in probably those moments of stress, which we know caregivers can experience. Kind of going back and grounding in those positive emotions, I would imagine could be so helpful for a caregiver in those moments of stress and strain.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the Martin Seligman, who is the founder of the positive psychology movement, he was the first one to really incorporate that. They call it 3 good things as the practice. And at any time that someone is stressed or feeling overwhelmed, you can bring yourself to the present and reduce your stress and increase your overall happiness by thinking of 3 good things. And they've looked at that in all different kinds of scenarios across the entire lifespan. Anyone at any age can do that. And it's just a really simple way, a free way that it's free to us. And it's a really simple way to bring us back to the here and now and put things in perspective.
Oh, most certainly. Well, and what I'm kind of like feeling as a parallel to this is self-care in a way, because we talk
Yes.
about caregiver self-care, and taking these little moments to kind of ground ourselves in positivity. I'm sure that goes a long way in terms of our self-care as well. So I would love to get your thoughts, Sarah, on self-care. A lot of people say, oh yeah, self-care is easier said than done. But if you kind of have this kind of more positive approach to caregiving, do people find it easier to then incorporate self-care, or how does that play into all of this?
I think so. When we talk about positive caregiving, it's also really caring for ourselves as well, right? So it's
Yeah.
caring for ourselves and others as we age. But one thing that we've heard over and over again is that people might not have the time or the extra time to really do the things that we would normally consider self-care. Most people don't have an extra hour to go to the spa or or to take a bubble bath, right? But that's why we in the book especially, we talk about micro moments of self-care. So it's from 5 seconds to 5 minutes to bring us back for a little refresh, recharge, and to get back into a positive mindset. And that's everything from, again, we just mentioned the three good things, exercise, but it's also little things like just stepping outside, taking a moment to step outside. Sunlight does wonders to our brain and to our bodies, giving us a little bit of a boost, giving us a little bit of energy and a little bit of relaxation. We can just practice breathing. I mean, we're breathing all the time, but to focus on the breath, breathing in. And I love, one of my favorite things is to inhale on a word that we want more of, and then exhale on something we want less of. So I love to breathe in love and exhale fear. And breathing aligned with those words can be wonderful to slow the body down. It tells the body to relax. And again, it brings us to the here and now. So those are just little things that we can do. They're free. You don't have to take an extraordinary amount of time to do them, but they can do, again, wonders for our bodies and our brains, and they just make us better caregivers as well.
Mm. I love that. Inhale on a word you want more of, exhale on a word that maybe you want a little less of. I think I'm going to even start incorporating that into my daily practice. I like that so, so much. And you've been talking a lot about the book, and you have an app. Sarah, where can people find more about you and your organization, Positive Caregiving, and maybe what are some of the other resources that you have on your site?
Yeah, sure. So my website is positivecaregiving.com, and on there you can find information about the book. And we've worked really hard to get the book into libraries across the United States, so people can ask their local library. It's available, at all the major bookstores as well. The mobile app you can access off positivecaregiving.com, or you can go to the Apple or the Android stores and just download it for free. And then on the website on positivecaregiving.com, there's also a library. And the library we update on a regular basis, and it's all free tools for people. There's everything from workbooks to activity sheets that you can do with your care partner, supporting tools, resources. And so we're, like I said, adding to that all the time, and we hope that people will continue to visit and take advantage of it.
Thank you for sharing. I know I was perusing your website the other day, and I saw there's like a kind of adult coloring sheets, which look really fun and would just bring me a lot of joy. And so that's just one of the many tools, of course, you have on there that I noticed.
Right.
But such a fun kind of way to get you maybe out of your daily routine and just kind of focused on something that you can do by yourself or do with your care partner. I love how you have
Right.
activities for both scenarios.
Yes.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for all of this great information. If our listeners could remember one thing from today's conversation, what would you want them to walk away with?
I think that all of us, every one of us, has the propensity and the ability to practice gratitude, empathy, forgiveness, love, and awe as skills. And the more we practice, the stronger they become inside of us. And eventually, they can become the lenses through which we see the world.
Mm, that is so beautiful. Oh, gosh, what a great thought to end on. Sarah, thank you again so much for joining me. I wish you a very happy 2024, and I'm excited to continue this positive mindset that you've inspired me to have going into the new year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Happy New Year to you.
I want to thank Dr. Sarah Teten Kanter for joining me today. I hope that you have found some new information about how you can bring a more positive perspective to your caregiving role. If you have additional insights to share on today's conversation, I would love to hear from you. Please email me at caregiverchats@homeinsteadinc.com. In the next episode of Caregiver Chats, I'm going to dive deeper into one specific type of service that supports aging adults and caregivers, and that is home care. I'll be joined by a Home Instead franchise owner who's going to help us better understand what it's like to utilize home care services and how families can go about getting the process started. She's also going to talk about the most frequently asked questions that families ask her, so I hope you'll tune in and listen. I also invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Home Instead Inc. That's Home Instead INC. There you'll find previews of upcoming episodes, caregiving tips, and more. You can find all of the links in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and please remember to take good care of yourself while you care for others. Caregiver Chats is brought to you by Home Instead. If you're looking for an in-home care company to support you on your caregiving journey, please visit homeinstead.com/caregiverchats to learn more.